Hello and welcome to a Star Citizen Engineering version 1 special. We are going to be delving into the Star Citizen Engineering design document that CIG posted and their goals for the initial live release of Engineering with 4.5. I've summarised a little bit of this where I can, but most of the information I've kept as it is, or corrected slightly based on more recent dev responses. Grab a coffee and strap in, because there's a lot of info here. Alpha 4.5 introduces engineering gameplay, armor, and ship fire hazards. These interconnected systems fundamentally change how you interact with and maintain your spacecraft and represent some of the most significant gameplay changes affecting nearly every ship and vehicle in-game. It is a work in progress in the PTU currently. Some bits may change. Engineering and multi-crew gameplay is planned to extend the life of ships beyond what they were previously, with actively managed systems and dedicated engineering done well being rewarded. The new engineering system introduces a comprehensive ship management experience. This system creates dedicated gameplay roles for engineers aboard multi-crew ships, while also providing solo pilots with new in-depth ship maintenance and combat survival. It encompasses power management, component health monitoring, damage repair, fire suppression, and system prioritization. Understanding these interconnected systems is essential for keeping your ship operational during and after combat, exploration, and everyday flight operations. On larger vessels, dedicated engineers will be imperative to keeping your ship ready during and in between encounters. Engineers will do a mixture of maintenance and damage control and prioritizing tasks appropriately, and communication with your captain and crew is going to be vital. You'll be replacing components, fixing components, putting out fires, and managing power. You'll be able to manage and see a lot of that information from the engineering screen and then hopefully communicate that to your crew. The engineering screen is the primary interface for monitoring and managing ship systems. This screen provides a detailed view of all ship components, their health, status, power distribution, and system alerts. The engineering screen can be accessed from dedicated engineering stations and terminals on larger ships, co-pilot seats on smaller vessels for non-physicalized ships, and MFD panels throughout your ship. The ship schematic view. The central display shows a 3D representation of your ship with color-coded indicators for each component and room. This view allows you to identify damaged components at a glance, navigate to specific ship sections, and monitor real-time damage in and out of combat. You can see hull damage and health overviews, component names and locations, component health, wear, tear percentages, power distribution status, room atmospheric conditions, and fire alerts. A component info box shows upon hovering over a component, giving a summary of its state. Room display shows fire status, atmospheric conditions, and loss of atmosphere for each room in the ship. Note that this can create significant information clutter on larger vessels. Color state indicators. Components are displayed with color-coded health states. Green is supposed to be 100 to 50% health range, yellow 50 to 20%, red 20 to 1%, and then white or grey 0%. That's a fully destroyed component. Currently, the system shows 99 to 20% as yellow. I would actually prefer a range of 80 to 30% as yellow and obviously 100 to 81 as green. You can also store power presets for ships. These are per vehicle. You can actually store them in your user folder as well, like the character customizer stuff. That means you can also share them with other players, I suppose, by sending them across. Ship components and categories. Ships contain various components organized into functional categories. Understanding each of these is crucial for effective engineering. Power generation. Power plants function to generate electrical power for all ship systems. If they fail, these are of critical importance. If the power plant reaches a critical state, 0% health, the ship has a chance to explode. Key behaviors. Power plant failure triggers a self-destruct sequence with a timer based on the power plant. This can be repaired with a multi-tool once critical. Power plants going critical at 90% plus health without warning is a known issue. That is not intended. Thermal management. Coolers. How do they function? They dissipate heat generated by weapons, thrusters, and other systems. Failure effect. Weapons and systems overheat faster, may shut down automatically. So more heat is generated, or less heat is dispersed. Key behaviors. Some ships have multiple coolers to provide redundancy. Damaged coolers will have a reduced amount of heat dissipation capacity proportional to their damage. Defense systems. Shield generators. Function. Project energy shields to absorb incoming damage. Failure effect. Ship hull takes direct hits from all attacks. Key behaviors. Multiple shield generators share the shield pool. Damaged shield generators reduce shield capacity and regeneration. A ship can have a maximum of 2 shields active at the same time, with the third and beyond being reserves that are turned on once you lose 1 or more of your main shield generators. Note that shield status currently is not visible on the engineering screen. Navigation and detection. Quantum drives. They enable quantum travel between locations, and if they fail, you can't perform a quantum jump. Currently, there is a known bug that they can't be repaired, so that's not ideal. Radars. They detect ships, signatures, and points of interest. You won't have a sensor capability, or you'll have a reduced one if they fail. Radars are frequently damaged in combat. They are pretty fragile at the moment, and may require multiple repairs during or between extended engagements. Now that's interesting because it doesn't say that's a unintended behavior. Propulsion. Main thruster function. So that's your primary thrust for your ship, and you'll have reduced acceleration capabilities if they fail or are damaged. Maneuvering thruster function provide altitude control and lateral movement, and you'll get a loss of specific directional control if they fail. Retro thrusters function, they provide deceleration thrust and reduced braking capability if they fail. Key behaviors. Individual thruster damage is very granular, and lost thrusters can cause uncontrollable flight. Thruster status is not currently visible on the engineering screen, but they're considered too fragile in the current balance. Life support. This produces and maintains breathable atmosphere, controls room temperature, and filters contaminants. If that fails, well, you're not going to be producing as much oxygen, if any, and you'll lose atmosphere quality control. Some key behaviors. This filters smoke from the air, although that's currently too slow. They also have a replaceable filter sub-item as well. The filters will get worn over time like a fuse. Door systems. So doors, if they are working fine, they are blue. If they're offline, they're grey. If they're locked or there's a warning there, they're yellow. And if they are critical or broken, they are red. Understanding ship power. Every ship has a finite power budget generated by its power plants. This power must be distributed among all ship systems that are active: shields, weapons, thrusters, life support, and other various systems. Managing this power distribution can be a job unto itself, and prioritizing certain systems over another in tense situations could affect the survival of your ship and crew. From the engineering screen or power MFD, there is a default power state for all ships, but as you, the engineer, can prioritize systems, divert power from systems that are non-essential in an emergency, or even just balance load to distribute power evenly for standard operations. In these systems, power is routed through capacitors that store energy for different system groups. Weapon capacitors store energy for weapon systems. Depleted capacitors reduce fire rate or disable weapons. Shield capacitors store energy for shield regeneration. Depleted capacitors slow shield recovery. Thruster capacitors store energy for propulsion systems, and this currently affects the ship's boost. Fuse system overview. Fuses act as a protective device between the power plant and individual components. Keeping plenty of these in quick reach of your engineer is imperative for continued operation. Fuses are installed in relay boxes throughout the ship. Ships vary in the number and location of relay boxes. While most ships have between 1 and 2 relay locations, medium and larger ships can have 3 to 4 locations or more. Losing all fuses inside a relay will cause some power from your power plant to be lost, heavily impacting power efficiency. Damaged fuses appear on the engineering screen or will be visibly destroyed within the relay box. To replace these, the player must first locate the damaged fuse, open the relay panel, remove the damaged fuse, and then replace it with one from their inventory. Let's talk about armor penetration, because it did actually make engineering version 1. Penetration mechanics. Weapons have a penetration value, e.g. 1 meter for size 3 ballistic gatling. The amount they penetrate depends on the current armor percentage. Penetration cone, impact radius, and distance radius all affect area on penetration. Linear progression. As you reduce armor, penetration increases linearly. At 0% armor, weapons penetrate at their maximum values. Weapon type matters. Ballistic weapons are less effective against armor compared to energy weapons, which do 1.4 times normal damage to armor. Component damage. Penetration is checked within a cone, not just a straight line. If a component is within the cone, it takes damage based on the penetration value and armor percentage. breaking armor. Even smaller weapons can eventually wear down armor values over time, but larger weapons will typically have better penetration. An example scenario, if you use a size 2 weapon against a ship with full armor, you won't penetrate, but as you keep firing and reduce the armor, you'll start to penetrate and eventually damage internal components. For capital ships, you may need larger weapons to reach deeply buried components. They are currently trying to improve armor feedback and the experience there for players so they know what's going on with armor. Giving information about the current state of armor on your ship and your target is just as meaningful as self-status of shields and other systems. So we will start to see the health pool of armor, current effective thickness, the current value modified by health ratio and the curve, feedback for shots with the reticle and pip. Is it piercing? Is it not piercing? Are you damaging anything meaningfully? We should be getting loads of stats and info on armor and penetration of weapons and the amount of armor stuff has, basically. How components take damage. Components can be damaged through various weapon fire, penetrating hull and shields, collision impacts with other objects or terrain, overheating when operating beyond their thermal limits, and fire damage. Health percentage system. Each component has a value between 0 to 100, which will degrade performance of the component the closer to 0 it becomes. Keeping components repaired is essential to full ship performance. Component health thresholds will quickly hinder your ship. At 100 to 75%, the component is considered to be at full performance. Between 75 and 50, it's a minor performance degradation. 50 to 25, a significant reduction. 25 to 10, severe reduction performance. 10 to 1, near failure performance. And then 0%, critically destroyed and non-functional. This is where power plants can go into a critical state. Hull sections as well have their own health pools like components, and there is a known issue at the moment that the sections can turn red and then stop registering hit markers, but the idea is that hull sections are a component which can effectively be destroyed. Distortion damage is treated a bit differently. This does not cause any physical damage or harm directly. Distortion shuts down powered entities. Components hit by distortion weaponry will have like a power surge or malfunction. They fill a distortion pool, which decays over time. Distortion triggers if the pool fills completely and disappears if the pool decays below a recovery ratio. Current behavior, the component will shut off when it gets enough distortion damage. Understanding damage versus wear. The engineering system distinguishes between two types of degradation: damage and wear. Damage caused by combat, collisions, fires, direct damage to a item which can be repaired with a multi-tool. Wear. This is accumulated through normal use over time and will gradually degrade maximum component performance. Wear damage cannot be repaired through multi-tool use, which means over time, the only way to restore functionality will be to replace the component. Operating time, high stress operations, combat, high power usage, and environmental exposure will all affect component wear. Multi-tools will be used to repair using RMC. You can aim at a component, and when you've got the repair module equipped, aiming at a component, you'll be able to see the health and status of the component, or hull, or weapon, or relay. An engineer can see component damage either by looking on the engineering screen or in person by aiming their repair tool at the component. You can then left click with the repair tool and use the RMC to repair the things. Based on the size of the component and the amount of damage, this will take some time. At the moment, there's some bugs. Jump drives cannot currently be repaired, and also some components appear on screen on the engineering stuff but can't be located physically. When components are fully destroyed or degraded too much, you'll want to replace them. You'll go up to the component, go to its component bay wherever it is physically, and then use the remove and install actions to remove and install a new component there. It will take the component from your inventory. You may need to use the vehicle loadout manager to change some components because they don't physically exist. Heat is now a crucial element for pilots and engineers to monitor. As components operate, they generate heat and raise the temperature, creating a constant balancing act between cooling systems and maintaining performance. Coolant must be directed appropriately to keep components within safe operating limits while still supporting the needs of the ship. The longer a component runs at high temperatures, the faster it will accumulate wear, reducing efficiency and increasing the chance of failure. If a component overheats beyond safe thresholds, it will trigger a thermal shutdown and stop functioning until it cools down. Letting components run too hot too long increases the risk of fire, one of the most dangerous situations a ship can face. Fires can start due to overheating, malfunctions, or direct damage. Engineers must respond quickly using fire extinguishers or by venting a room to remove oxygen and suppress flames. Staying on top of heat management is essential to keeping your ship safe and operational. Fire behavior. Accidents happen, and sometimes staying on top of the heat management is not possible, and a fire will occur. This can happen because components take damage and overheat, fuel lines are breached, electrical systems short circuit, or external weapons ignite flammable materials. These fires will need to be contained or risk spreading throughout the ship as it moves from room to room, damaging and destroying your hard-earned loot, components, nested vehicles, and crew. Fires throughout your ship will also generate realistic smoke, significantly reducing visibility. It is a little bit too visibility reducing at the moment, lots and lots of smoke. Life support systems will gradually scrub the atmosphere in a room to remove smoke once the fire is contained. The engineering screen and ship will provide visual and audio alerts when fire is detected. Fire suppression. There are multiple ways to help stop the spread of fire and remove it. Using the supply of fire extinguishers around the ship might be your first choice. These FPS items will allow your crew to hit the fire directly at the source. These extinguishers have a limited resource stored inside and will need to be recharged by placing them back into their rack in the ship when not in use. You can also purchase fire extinguishers separately in stores in-game in Alpha 4.5. Boom! That's it for the engineering document that CIG put out. And yeah, it's quite a lot of information there. I'm interested to know, do you like that plan and that goal for engineering version 1 in 4.5? Or you're like, no, it needs to have more, it does something that I hate, or yeah, that's great, but at the moment, trying it in the PTU, it doesn't do all of that properly. Obviously, like capital ships and larger ships are going to have a load more armor, so smaller weapons fire are just not going to be able to get through that armor very well. It's going to take ages and ages and ages. Engineering is game-changing for Star Citizen in so many ways, but obviously for combat, multi-crew, just general ship operation of larger ships as well. It does move a lot of the ability to solo larger ships into a significantly less manageable category. Obviously, when we have flight blades and NPC crew, that goes, oh, well, actually, no, you can solo a massive ship as long as you've got an NPC crew, use them. I think engineering is so important to Star Citizen, and we've been waiting for it for so long. They don't need it in the same way for Squadron 42, although component targeting and armor to an extent is going to be important, but it's not in the same way because we're not using multi-crew in the same way, right? Squadron is a single-player game. But for those of us that want to do multi-crew, which is most people, or will be affected by it in some way, because even if you're just attacking multi-crew ships, you want to run a big operation where you're just doing mining or whatever. Well, some of those ships are going to be multi-crew. You might be attacked by multi-crew ship. Capital ships are just a whole nother beast. So much going on with engineering. I'm super excited for it, but also because of how big a change it is, everything could implode. It needs to be done right. Otherwise, you're going to go through a spate of Star Citizen patches where everything is broken. And CIG have spent years working on engineering, getting the pipe system in, and then ripping up the pipe system and putting the resource network system in, and then getting it into this state for engineering. Really, really interesting. It's really cool. Let's hope it all works out. It's looking like it's doing pretty well. Obviously, it's in third wave PTU at the moment at time of recording. But as I said, really interested to know what you think about all of that, or some of that, or none of that. And something else I'm interested for you to do is click on the links down below to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. What's that? You want to get some VPN? Well, get NordVPN. Get a big discount. Use my links below. I get some money. You get NordVPN, which gives you better accessibility, security, and privacy on the internet. What more could you want? Well, you can tell me that in the comments as well. Thanks for watching. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For December, we are giving away a Kruger Intergalactic L22 Alpha Wolf. Just comment on any video made during December 2025 to be in for a chance of winning that. It does also come with lifetime insurance and a game package. All you need to play Star Citizen and start your journey with a powerful light fighter, or add it to your fleet of ships. I don't know who's going to win. It's kind of random. Something that's not random is your support of this channel. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. And if you would like to like, share, subscribe, that really helps. Commenting helps as well. Also, you might consider clicking the join button under my videos or becoming a Patreon. There's some exclusive videos there. There's some emotes. It helps out the channel more. We are going to be playing a load more Star Citizen. Thank you very much for watching. You have a great December. Tell me all the things in the comments below.